Under the pouring rain, a man quietly stepped out from behind bars after 7 years of imprisonment. That was Jake Green, a gambling prodigy once sentenced to prison due to the sophisticated conspiracy of Dorothy Machu, the gangster boss. Personally escorted by the warden, today was the day he was free. The moment Jake breathed the chilly air outside the bars, he finally understood that in every game, there is always a manipulator and one who is deceived. And this time, Jake would no longer be the victim. He began his journey of revenge against the one who had pushed his life into hell. Elsewhere, in the glamorous lights of a luxurious casino, the gambling mafia boss Dorothy Machu and his right-hand man, the cold-blooded Paul, were silently observing the air, tints as a stretched string, as guests came and went. At the same time, on the other side of the city, Jake and his group were preparing to set off. In the car, Billy, Jake's brother, constantly doubted whether their coming here this time was the right move. But Jake only replied that there were debts that needed to be settled. Jake's vague suggestive words made everyone fall silent. Soon after, the car stopped in front of a familiar building, the biggest casino in the city. Without hesitation, the whole group stepped out. They didn't know that destiny had brought them back to confront their old enemy, Dorothy, and his underlings. The casino staff quickly recognized Jake and immediately led him and his group to the top floor. When the elevator doors opened, Jake suddenly froze. A flicker of hesitant fear of confined spaces. But then Jake suppressed his fear and decisively stepped inside. The elevator stopped at the top floor. However, the casino staff announced that only 2 people were allowed to proceed. Thus, only Jake and Billy advanced further inside. Not long after, Jake encountered an old acquaintance, someone he once considered whose turn was almost up in this game of life and death. The other person appeared astonished to see Jake still standing strong and having left solitary confinement. In prison, he asked Jake what he was here for, but Jake didn't answer. Instead, he proactively sat down in the empty seat the man had just vacated, then calmly faced Dorothy. Jake deliberately lost and appeared weak, making the man complacent. However, immediately after, Jake unexpectedly played Dorothy a trick, extremely angry, but unable to do anything to him. After that, Jake and Billy put the money in their bags and casually left. At this moment, a man approached and handed him a business card. He said that Jake was in danger and that he could help him. As Jake was wondering who he was, he decided to take the stairs down. But then, a sudden pain struck, causing Jake to collapse, his whole body hitting each step hard. Meanwhile, Dorothy was still seething with rage from Jake's public humiliation. He vented his anger on Paul, then immediately ordered a manhunt for Jake's group to ensure no one acted conspicuously. The boss enlisted Sorda, a cold and discreet assassin. When Jake suddenly collapsed and was taken to the hospital after urgent blood tests, he was fortunate not to be in serious danger. Thanks to a quick recovery, Jake was soon discharged from the hospital and returned to prepare for the next game. After leaving the hospital, Jake returned home with 2 bodyguards without Billy. Take off. Upon receiving news of Sorta's failure, Paul immediately reported to his boss, enraging him to the extreme and making him unable to believe that a professional assassin could miss the target. After the failed assassination attempt, Jake was taken by the mysterious man to a bar where he was introduced to Harvey. This guy, a mysterious member of Zack the Bucket, but nothing was free, and if he wanted more help, he had to accept their 2 conditions. 1. Hand over all the money he had just won at the casino, and 2. Absolutely obey all of Zack's or Ari's orders without question. Finding these 2 to be con artists, he stood up and left. But it was true that sometimes Jake felt his body was strange. After thinking, Jake immediately went to the hospital to verify the truth. Here, the doctor confirmed he had a rare blood disease. He didn't believe it and suspected the doctor was colluding with Harvey and Zack's gang to deceive him. Jake flew into a rage to meet Harvey and Zack, bringing a large bag of money as requested by the 2. In return, they agreed to help him take revenge on the boss, Dorothy, and his underlings. Abby took the money and immediately sealed this sweet deal with Jake. Zack gave him a car key. Then, the whole group set off to meet a debtor. It turned out Abby and Zack were also loan sharks. These 2 scoundrels used Jake's own money to lend to others at cutthroat prices. At the meeting point, Jake had to personally hand the bag of money to the debtor along with a warning about the terrible interest rate. After completing his first assignment in his new role, Jake quietly followed them back. Now he officially became Zack an AVI underling. From a seasoned player to a debt collector for these 2, Harvey said to just be patient and they would deal with old Dorothy for him. On the way back, Harvey and Zack curiously asked Jake about Dorothy's identity and the connection between them. Jake coldly revealed that he was a cunning mafia gambling boss with brutal and loyal underlings. He once dominated casinos with rigged gambling games. Even Cecily and his daughter, Jake, was forced to accept the dangerous invitation. When the game took place, Jake quickly defeated his opponent George. However, after the defeat, George insulted his mother, causing Jake to lose control and shoot him straight in the leg in a fit of extreme rage. But immediately after, all the betting money mysteriously disappeared. Jake was blamed and became a scapegoat, forced to accept a 7-year prison sentence in solitary confinement. The tragedy didn't stop there, as Dorothy's underlings continued to threaten his relatives and caused the wife of Jake's cousin to be brutally murdered. At this point, he gradually realized that everything was part of the cruel conspiracy that the gambling boss had orchestrated from the beginning. At the same time, Dorothy and Paul went to their partner Gold's mansion to request an extension for a delivery, but surprisingly only met Lily Walker, Gold's personal assistant, and her aide. Dorothy tried to persuade, explaining that he still couldn't deliver the white powder because he encountered some problems, but Lily coldly refused and emphasized that Gold couldn't wait long because many others were waiting for the opportunity to cooperate. Jake met Ave and Zach again when he brought 2 large bags of cash as part of their agreement. Jake began to talk about his 7 years in prison. During that time, he only trusted and talked to 2 people, a chess grandmaster and a master artist. The 3 exchanged knowledge through books in the prison's mobile library, using sophisticated codes to avoid detection by the guards. Thanks to this, Jake learned the sophisticated skills and strategies needed for a big plan in the future. His 2 cellmates promised to always support him, and they proved it by mysteriously escaping from prison, leaving no trace. 2 years later, Jake was also released. But what awaited him was a shock. All his hidden money had been taken, and his 2 close friends from the past were the culprits. Because the 3 were close, he had told them his secrets, even the hiding place for his money Jake had revealed. Those 2 had left a provocative message, advising Jake that this was a lesson to make him smarter. Zach gave Jake his next task, forcing him to go to the house of a debtor, a poor middle-aged woman. But when he arrived,